Hi guys, welcome aboard the flight deck of the 787 Qantas Dreamliner. Currently today we're parked at Heathrow Airport at gate 316, just getting ready for departure. We're doing a cold and dark start. We have approval for our departure on runway 08 left, and we're heading across the channel to Charles de Gaulle Airport in Paris. So weather looks fairly clear. We're in live weather, so it's a nice day in London today. And this is a fairly big aircraft. I'll be doing all the flying on my own, but I will be using the flight assistant to do all the radios for me because it is generally a two pilot aircraft. So first up, what we really need to do is get some power into the system and get the APU operating. We'll get the inertial reference system operating, which is our navigational assistance. And so the APU is operating and the generators are on. It's a bit of a slow build with the 787 to get the power into the system. So in the meantime we can move to our checklist. First one is that the parking brake is set, which is this one here, it's done, and that the fuel level controls are in the off position, which they are. So we can tick that pre-start check. We can go now to the before start checklist. Passenger signs, you can see everything slowly coming up here. Passenger signs are into the on position. Tick that. Passenger signs are done. MCP, the mode control panel, which is this one through the middle, or what used to be the autopilot. To go those, we go to flight directors on. We go to arming the auto throttles. Today's climb out speed will be 210 knots. We arm the LNAV, lateral navigation, and arm the VNAV, vertical navigation. Move the bank angle turns to maximum, and we don't have a departure altitude at this point. Set CDU pre-flight. Now CDU pre-flight is our flight plan. So if we go into here and we departure arrival page, standard instrument departure is a DT1K from EGLL, which is Heathrow's ICAO code, to an 09 left approach at de Gaulle. If we go to the legs page now, you can see these are the individual waypoints we've got to go through to get from Heathrow to de Gaulle. And you can see there's 6 pages, so this is the first page of 6. So if we go to the next page, and everything's got a little, what I'm looking for is a thing called a route discontinuity, which is one here, and this is happening between PTACs and buybacks, that there is no part of the flight plan allocated to do that. So we've got to move buybacks up into here, so we highlight that, highlight where we want it to go to, and execute it, and you can see now that it's gone through. On to the next page, and this is another one, vectors. So between PG527 and EGLL, there is nothing advised. So we've got to highlight there, move it into there, and execute that. And you can see it's gone straight through. And we're on 4 out of 5. And that's 08 left, our arrival. And these are our departure. Sorry, not departure. These are our missed approach, go around, which is at up to 5,000 feet. So we can go back to legs, back to page 1. And I'm just going to check now that that's all been picked up on the actual route map. So go back to our navigation display. Here it is here, and we'll range out. Currently we're on 10 nautical miles range. Let's go to 20, 80. So here's our taking off out of Heathrow. Then we're making a right-hand turn heading down. If we can go to our destination and range out, Sorry, we'll range back in now. You see we've had no nothing missing in there, so I'm pretty satisfied that we've got everything there. So let's go back to the map, and we'll scroll in back to 10 nautical miles, which is our departure route. Okay, pretty happy with that. So going back to checklists, CDU pre-flight is done, trim is done, taxi and beacon lights we can do now. Which is beacon, and we'll do our navigation and our wing and our strobes. So all our external lights are now set, normal, and next one is before taxi checklist. And we have anti-ice, so the pretty well everything on the Dreamliner has an auto setting. If that is available to you, always take it. So anti-ice is set. Recall is this section here where it denotes any outstanding issues that need to be addressed. We haven't really done an engine start, so it's an auto brake is our reject takeoff on takeoff. It's in here. Flight controls, so we need to do a flight control check for movement. So this is the pilot and co-pilot consoles, left and right, forward and back, and making sure that every time we return to a neutral position in the middle. Flight controls are set, ground equipment is outside, and the APU is operating. Before taxi checklist complete. And I'm just going to turn on my flight assistant now to help me with the radio, so I'm going to start.
Clearance delivery, Qantas 1123 IFR to De Gaulle, ready to copy. Qantas 1123 is cleared to De Gaulle Airport this mile. Takeoff runway 09er left climb and maintain 9,000 feet. Departure frequency is 118.475 squawk by 457. Qantas 1123 cleared to De Gaulle Airport is filed. Takeoff runway 09er left climb and maintain 9,000 feet. Departure on 118.475 squawk by 457.
Check.
Qantas 1123, read back correct. Contact ground on 121.705. Good day.
Okay, so all that's pretty set. We're looking okay on the ground here. The ground equipment is clear. We need to get a pushback out of here. Let's go to ground services, request a pushback. Now for us to do this, where are we? We've got to get over to here. So our pushback will take us straight back, and we need to have the nose of the aircraft pointed towards this runway over here. So it will be to the right. So we're going to request a pushback. Park brake is off. And I just set the engine performances to optimal. So just as I said before, we need to get down to this runway over here. So as we get pushed back, I'm going to request that the tug pushes the aircraft to the right here, so that we're heading in that direction.
Heathrow ground Qantas 1123 requesting pushback tug to steer the aircraft to the right. Qantas 1123, your request has been transmitted to the operator.
So when the pushback's complete here, I'm just making sure that we're clear of all the stationary items on the ramp. When we get all the way around, it's a bit of a look-see as to how it's happening, looks like from inside the cockpit. Don't really need to go too far. They'll probably stop us automatically around about here. They've got me out pretty well out on the taxiway at the minute, so I need to get out of here pretty quickly, so I won't let an engine start going. So first things first is park brake back on, and we're ready for an engine start. Now don't be overawed by all this, it's not that scary, so we just need to as I said, most of the things on the that's just some emergency things, switches we needed to get going. The electrical is being run by the APU at the moment, so we can leave all of the electrical at the moment and move on to the hydraulics, which again set by the auto settings here. So I'm just selecting auto in each of these. These are the fuel pumps that we'll be requiring, so we need that one. This one's not illuminated because it's running the APU, so we've got that one's going on. The centre pumps are going on. Right aft and right forward are going on, and for an engine start the air conditioning system comes off, and engine start 1. So you can see now the readouts here for EGT, exhaust gas temperature, and N1 are spooling up. When we get to 220 here, we then introduce the fuel, 220, and we introduce the fuel, cancel the caution light. Let's go back up to engine 1, which is now spooling up, EGT, and N1 is coming. You can see auto start is now displayed on the engine that's already running. We're waiting now for 220 to come up here. And we'll then introduce fuel to number 1. You can see now we've got a green setting here, says we're running, and the engine is pretty well stabilised all the way through. I'm just waiting now for engine number 1 to stabilise into the same again. That was our taxi instructions.
Taxi, hold short, runway 09 or left via taxiway Foxtrot Bravo Echo Bravo Delta Alpha Lima 57 Alpha 13 Alpha Bravo 13 Qantas 1123.
We're now running. Let's go out of here and back up to our start switches. You can see both of those have returned to the normal position. And we have 2 good stabilised engines at this point. Okay, so the next thing to do is set the cockpit up for pilot co-pilot arrangement, and we'll need to set these screens up. So I'm going to keep this screen in a split with navigation and engine display for pilot and command. Over to the centre display, we'll do a full page navigational. We'll do that by hitting the ICAS switches over here. And we can further add a menu into here where we want waypoints and airports included, and data that's attached to each of these waypoints. We can clear that, and we can put weather in there as well. In this one here, I'm going to operate traffic. So I'm setting the screen range for this one at 10 nautical miles, and this one I'm going to be setting it at 20. And here I can also, for the taxiing purposes, use this for taxiing to, this is where we'll have to go all the way down here onto these taxiways onto the end of runway 9 left. 8 left, I beg your pardon. Okay. We're looking pretty good here. Commence our taxi now, I think, and just wait for this to settle down again. Okay, parking brake is now off. Taxiing. So you can see now what I'm doing here is I'm following this screen, and I've got a taxi house down to here. So I think I've got to actually go just stop and have a look here. I think I'll take this left here and then right onto there. So I've got to go, God, this lag is killing me. Gonna have some fun later on landing if it doesn't improve. Yeah, come through here. And down to the right. Taxi light on. Now, we've still got some outstanding recalls there, and I think that's because I haven't put the air conditioning back on. There's a couple of other items there, so I'm going to pull up just here. Whilst I can, these will need to be done. Just hitting the toe brakes to bring us to a halt. And so that should clear a couple up. Yep. And the TCAS is off, which is this button here. That's off, and fuel, I'll fix that up. Up threshold, brakes off. Just follow the taxi line, I think, onto the taxiway, which is here, and then we'll be turning left. So as you can see, there's quite a bit in this aircraft. It's not simple. It can be quite complex, but it also is quite surprisingly easy. So I'll have to get all the way up to the end now. This is twitchy, it's just really difficult. I hope it improves throughout the flight, because by the time we come around and start trying to land with an ILS system, I think this is going to become really quite impossible to fly. So here we go. So you can see now that we're just travelling parallel with the runway. We're on the parallel taxiway. That's our runway. We'll be taking off from up here, coming back against the direction that we're currently going. That's our 08 left. Sorry, 9 left. So it's 9 left on departure and 8 left on arrival. So everything's pretty set. The only thing that we probably need to get set up here is our external lights. We've got our landing lights on the outside done. We'll leave the centre one off at this point. We'll hit the recall button to cancel that, so we have a clear. If we go back to checklists and do before takeoff checklist, we need flaps to be done, which we haven't done, so we'll do that now. Flaps 1, 2, back to the navigation display. You can see flaps 5, we need flaps 10 for departure. I'm going to take this exit here onto 9 left, just confirming that 09 left is correct. There's the signage up here. It's the end of the runway, so we've only lost 100 metres. We've got more than enough to get going. And my assistant should do the radio calls when we reach the threshold here. And if I stop. Okay, clock started. Full landing lights are on, taxi lights are off. Press takeoff clearance.
Heathrow Tower, Qantas 112 tree ready for departure, runway 09er left IFR to Galle. Qantas 112 tree, altimeter 29er.9er 11060 at tree. Cleared for takeoff, runway 09er left. Cleared for takeoff, runway 09er left, Qantas 112 tree.
Okay, takeoff clearance received. Taxi onto the runway. Lights are done, flaps are done. Runway's clear. Set to 9,000. Auto throttles are set and armed. We'll depart, climb to approximately 500 feet, stabilise the departure, go to autopilot and auto throttles. Holding on the toe brakes, going up to 40% power. 2 good engines, no annunciations, no recall. 70% power, holding on the brakes and release full power. Qantas 1123 is rolling. Maintain centre line. Speed check is 80 knots. Caution light, checklist complete. Caution light extinguished, 130 knots, V1. Rotate. Caution light, checklist complete. Positive rate, gear up. Cancel the caution. Cancel the caution light. Okay, going to autopilot. Vertical nav and lateral nav and vertical nav is now steering the aircraft. Maintaining 220 knots. Speed check. 220 knots. Flaps 5. Just making sure that the aircraft is sticking to the lateral navigation, being controlled by this system here. So everything that's happening out now is everything that is controlling the aircraft now is everything that we have preset before departure. God. $220 knots. Flaps 1 check. 230 knots check. Flap 1. Little left-hand turn coming up here shortly. Coming through 5,400 feet. 5,250 knots. Flaps off. $250 knots, maximum speed under 10,000 feet. Currently at 5,900. That is set by flying up now through to 9,000 feet at 2,000 feet a minute. And just going to check out this recall checklist incomplete. So let's go to checklist, after takeoff checklist, landing gear up, flaps are up, complete. After landing, checklist complete. And
1123 climb and maintain 17,000 feet.
so going to 17,000 feet under the vertical speed. So you can see we're now flying under vertical speed. This light's illuminated, so the VNAV has come off. So our lateral navigation is still controlled by the LNAV, but our vertical navigation is now controlled by the vertical speed tab. Everything else has been automated. The auto brake has been reset. It's gear up. We're currently still under 10,000 feet, so we're still at 250 knots. The APU can come off. And I can switch the pumps off, which means I can now turn that pump back on. And recall is done. Okay, so happily just coming through to our cruise altitude. They've just given us 17,000 feet. We'll continue up there. Up to 10,000 we can increase the speed. Probably got to about 300 knots now. and I think I checked when our departure was, before our departure I should say, that our navigation limit or altitude is going to be around about 21,000 feet, I think, at this point. So it's not really that much really to happen now. It's heading up towards that cruise altitude. The next big thing is a turn to the right here very shortly. And you can see those things displayed here where we can say, so our next arrival point is DET 16, so down in here, DET 16, and it's 1.1 miles. So we'll cross that right now. So that's now on a 20-mile range. That'll be right. I think it's been my problem is that the net's a little bit fluffy today because it's a weekend. It may reconnect me, but I'm not sure exactly how good it's going to be. I am still worried about the landing because that's when the most data power is required. Okay, so you can see we've got another right hand turn to be had. I've just increased the sim rate to 2, which means that the sim now operates twice as fast.
Qantas 1123 climb and maintain flight level 200.
200.
Climb and maintain flight level 200, Qantas 112
So we're just commencing our right hand turn now, and we're going to start to head out over the English Channel. Once we get to 18,000 feet, we then have to change the barometric pressure from our readout advised by ATC to a standard setting that equates to all aircraft. We just do that simply by hitting that. You see the barometric pressure has been changed to the STD readout. And so equally, when we're descending back from above 18,000 feet through 18,000 feet, we hit this button again, and we have to go back and reset the barometric setting alpha time so that we are getting the correct the correct readout for all of our barometric instruments, like your altimeters. So we just hit 20,000 feet. I think we're going to be sitting there in cruise at this point. And that's the coastline, the English coastline into the English Channel here, and we'll be starting our cross-water section of the journey. So like in all flights, this is the most boring part when you hit the cruise, and all you're doing is basically just sitting monitoring the screen and trying to pass time as best you can. There's a bunch of things you need to do along the way at required intervals. There is a system page that's very important. We can do it here, where we can check the electrical system. So you can see on the ground this looks very different because we've got APUs operating in different things, but at the moment the electrical system, we've got left engine, right engine feeding into a buzz board across here, which do a range of different things throughout the aircraft. So when you turn these pages on, all you're really looking for is anything that's yellow or red, anything that's green or white or blue, all those cool colours is quite okay. You get the yellows and reds, then you've got issues and you need to troubleshoot your way out of it. Hydraulics, again, 3 major pumps on board, all doing different things, controlling different things like steering, rudders, flap, all your control surfaces, and you get a feed out of pressures, you get a read out of tank capacity, fuel. This is the pumps upstairs that we were looking at before. These 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 are a reflection of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 there. Fuel, air. So this is the air conditioning systems. We've got 148 people on board. This is the passenger deck through here, currently set at 24 degrees. The 2 luggage compartments and stowage compartments are set at 14 and 16 degrees. This is how the air conditioning systems, which were the 2 that I forgot to put back on after we took off. So that is air, then doors. So these are all, A stands for arm, so these are the arm doors, which means they're locked. There's 4 of them, and you can tell here that if you want to go to the toot, the lavatory's vacant at the moment as well. Gear, these are our steering head and nose wheel steering. Main bogies, these are the air pressures in each of them. Flight controls we did anyway, but there's a digital readout here of that and set to the normal mode, and these are not modelled, so we can go back to there, get out of here, and go back to our ICA setting, what we had before, and that just means to waste a couple of minutes, please. Oh, there's France coming up on the horizon. And you can see now that's our arrival into de Gaulle.
Qantas 1123, contact Paris Center on 119.825. Good day.
119.825, Qantas 1123. Goodbye. Paris Center, Qantas 1123, flight level 200.
Qantas 1123, Paris Center, radar contact. Continue to contact.
So Paddox is 8 miles away. Flight time so far has only been 21 minutes. That's from the time I switched the clock on at the departure threshold. just making that right hand course turn. It's part of the flight plan that we put in that makes up this information here. So you can see as we start to get, so we're going to Galle at the moment, which is 41 miles away. So it's probably seen better here. So that's us here, and that's Galle up here. So it's a lot, fairly long stretch down to there. So we get past Galle, and then we go to Mopar, which is this one in here, and then PG527, which is up in here. So we got a left-hand turn, then a right-hand turn to PG527. After that, we start getting some altitudes here. Now these are altitudes that we need to meet, and these distances here, the distance from Galle to Mopar is 7 miles. From Mopar to PG527 is 8 miles. From PG527 to EGLL is 17 miles. When we get to that point of EGLL, which is in here, EGLL, we need to be at 5,000 feet. This is to meet the step down altitudes, to be at the right altitude to pick up our ILS into the runway. So we need to meet those, and ATC should give them to us. They should descend us by instruction to meet these altitudes. Now if they don't, I'm going to cancel the IFR and I'm going to fly those myself. Okay, so they've descended us to 10,000.
Descend and maintain 10,000 feet. Keep speed not above 250 knots. Qantas 1123.
So we've got to stake up, start descending down here. I can go to
Qantas 1123. Goodbye. Paris Center Qantas 1123 is at flight level 190, descending 10,000 feet.
Just go onto the speed brake here, just to help us get that speed under control. So we're slowly decelerating on our way down to 10,000 feet. I don't want to dive, 1,800 feet is plenty. I've taken the auto throttle down to 210 knots, although anything below 250 is safe. So I'd rather be on 250, but I'll wait until we can get down to 10. So we're coming back through 18,000 feet. Again, the threshold to come off the standard departure, and we need to pick up the next barometric setting. We don't have one at this point, so we'll just keep what we had and just keep checking the screen for an updated barometric setting. So here we are. Here's that right bend, left turn, right turn that we need to get through. That's where it's shown here. They're taking us down to 10,000 feet at this point, but remember we've got to get down to 5,000 feet by the time we get to EGLL. So we've started our descent, coming down to 10,000 feet. We should really be doing some checks again now. So we'll go back to the checklist page and we'll do our descent checklist, and with our recall button, checklist complete. Yep. Auto brake, so this one is for landing. So the auto brake setting is that we go the other way, which is to use auto brakes. We'll put that on auto brake 2. That's set. Landing data is preset. Approach briefing is as per the book, and our approach setting is altimeters that we need to preset when I get an updated barometric pressure. So nothing's there now, so we'll go back to the navigation display and cancel the recall, and we'll start looking just at some of our aircraft settings. So the battery's on. I want the APU on in case of an electrical failure, so batteries can come on. I want external lights on, and TCAS is set. So you can see now we're down to 237 knots. I'm going to increase that up to 240 knots. So,
Descend and maintain 8,000 feet. Expect ILS runway 08 left approach via Mopar transition. Clear to Mopar Qantas 112 Dream.
happy to stay with the IFR at this point. Their ADC appears to be doing everything they're meant to. This is our airport over here.
Descend and maintain 9,000 feet. Qantas 112
Starting to play up a bit now because there's a saying to descend. They just asked us to descend to a higher altitude. Nice shot of the French fields. So lateral navigation still being controlled by LNAV, but our vertical navigation is, I'm pretty well doing it manually at the moment through the vertical speed settings and through the speed brake and the auto throttle to maintain our requested descents, altitudes and speeds. So we're 230 knots now, still not got the actual barometric pressure we need at this point. And remember at EGLL, this one here, we need to be at 5,000 feet. Here. Oh, sorry, GEL 15 now. It's here, 5,000.
Qantas 112 Dream. Goodbye. To Galle approach Qantas 112 Dream 9,000 feet.
2984. 2984. So I've got that now, 2984. It's just correcting us now because I've adjusted that barometric setting. PG527. PG527. Here it is.
Descend and maintain 5,000 feet, Qantas 112 tree.
So here we are, we have to make this left-hand turn. That's pretty well going to bring us straight on the approach. And internet speed seems to have improved a little bit. I'm still have some concerns about being on final with this thing today. It's going to be quite sketchy, I think. May have some trouble keeping it going straight. Anyway, time will tell. So we've gone through all of the checks. Descent, approach, landing checklist is speed brake, set, landing gear and flaps. Just descending through 6,600 feet, 239 through. We're still under 250, which is okay. Just making this left-hand turn to EGLL. And we've got the next one in here. We have to be at 5,000, which we look like we'll be able to make that pretty. We're into the 5,000s now. There's our 1,000 foot warning. We need to go to the approach settings very shortly. I'll wait until we make this turn. I'm still on a 20 mile range on this display. Weather's good, not expecting any dramas with that. Airspeed's down to 210. Speed brake is still armed. Can go off. And our procedures when we go through to set up for the ILS is that once we make this turn and we are on the main setting, we will go to the localizer, which is this setting here. The localizer is this little pink button here which moves left and right. At the moment it's got us centered right on the lateral navigation, which is right in the center of these two markers. So that's your lateral movement. If we were right over here on the pink, we're off the mark, but we are right on the center line. And then the next one is this one here, which is the approach, which is the glide slope, sorry. I'm just looking at that next. GLE, if I were 2180.
Qantas 112 tree, you are 16 miles west of de Galle. Contact de Galle Tower on 119.6 tree when inbound.
Tower on 119.6 tree, Qantas 112 tree. De Galle Tower, Qantas 112 tree, 15 miles west inbound, ILS runway 08 left approach.
Qantas 112 tree, de Galle Tower. Altimeter 29.8 tree with 065 at 5. Clear ILS runway 08 left approach.
Clear ILS runway 08 left approach, Qantas 112 tree.
Okay, going gear down and flaps 5.
Qantas 1123 wind tree, flight niner at 4. Clear to land runway 08 left.
Clear to land runway 08 left, Qantas 112
So that's the airport here, straight ahead. My aircraft. Just test it out.
Qantas 1123, turn next taxiway.
Well, that wasn't pretty, but it's probably the best I could do given the performance of this computer today. But I mean, we're on the ground. We bounced a bit. Well, we didn't really bounce. Because of the lagging, it seemed like a heavier landing than what it actually was. But because it's so jittery, it's just not smooth. So I'm just going to park here for the time being, clean up the aircraft. I'm off the runway, and you can see how laggy it is. You hit the button and then so the taxi lights are on. Speed brake is off. Reverse thrusters are done. I'm just going to taxi up to here. I'll find a gate to get to. Looks like to be one over here somewhere. It'll do me. I don't muck around too much. Clean the flaps up. And we'll take this left-hand taxiway here in front of us and make our way over to the terminal. Anyway, we made it. It wasn't probably the best one. Just apologies for the poor performance with the computer, but yeah, London to Charles de Gaulle, 1 hour and 7 minutes. Thanks.